G'day guys, how are we? Welcome to the weekly roundup. Let's get straight into it with all the Aussie news first. IBF Cruiserweight champion Jai Pataya not having much luck, unfortunately getting a challenger to his title. Another mandatory challenger has pulled the pin. This time it's Richard Riakporhe. Just hours away from a purse bid to decide when and where this fight would take place and how much obviously they were going to be paid. He's had the advice, poor advice if you ask me, to withdraw from proceedings. So that fight is off. You remember earlier in the year, Matus Mastanak also pulled the pin before purse bids. The good news is that the IBF have now stepped in and said they are now ordering a rematch between Jai Pataya and Marius Abridis. Who can forget that memorable fight early in the year where Pataya lifted the IBF Cruiserweight belt? So that looks like it's going to go ahead. A deal has to be done by September 8th. Or this too will go to purse bids. Let's hope we have a little bit more luck, and Jai, more importantly, has a little bit more luck getting a fight locked in. It's been over a year since he's been in the ring, so no doubt he's itching to get back in. Big news this week from the No Limit camp. Young superstar in the making, Paulo Aokuso, and No Limit have parted ways. Rumours still going around about what happened between the two parties. All that's been said so far is that No Limit have decided to part ways with Aokuso. Aokuso is saying that he wasn't getting the attention and maybe the respect that he thought he might deserve at this stage of his career, which is a little bit strange considering he's fought on most of the No Limit pay-per-views so far and headlined his own TV card only weeks before this happened. So interesting to see what's going to happen there. There are rumours that Stan Sport, the streaming app, might step in. Who knows? But as I said, it does seem a little bit odd that Aokuso, who I think has had a lot of support from No Limit. Of course, I don't know what happens behind closed doors, what has happened there. But long story short, No Limit and Paulo Aokuso have parted ways. So let's see what happens in the next chapter for Paulo Aokuso. Speaking of No Limit, they had the TV card earlier in the week. Isaac, the head splitter Hardman, got the 6th round stoppage of Kazuki Kayahara. Isaac Hardman moves to 14-2-1. Kayahara drops to 6-2-3. Very good workmanlike effort by Isaac Hardman. And sky's the limit for him. He has called out other middleweights in Australia, most notably Joel Camilleri. Camilleri has responded that he wouldn't mind that fight, but remains to be seen what happens there. So we'll see. On the undercard, Blake Wells dropped an 8-round decision to Tej Singh for the second time in the last 12 months. Blake Wells drops to 7-2. Tej Singh now 18-6-3. The scores 79-73 times 2 and 76-76 on the other card. Also on that 4-fight card, Riley Powers was stopped by Ralph Etienne in his pro debut. Etienne now 1-0. Riley Powers drops to 2-1. And Monia Faith with the second round, or Faithy, I think it's pronounced, with a second round stoppage of Jerome Pascua. Faithy now 6-0. Pascua drops to 7-7. 3 big cards announced in the next few weeks for Australian promoters. Firstly, Wildcard, September the 2nd in Melbourne. Joel Taylor, 9-1. Will fight Caesar Afakan, who's 5-0-1 in a really, really good matchup. Max Reeves, 8-0-1, will take on Joe Corner, 6-2-1. And hot prospect Jason Malia, 5-0, will fight Hunter Ione, 8-7-1. Ace Boxing will have their card on September 9th. Floyd Masson will defend his IBO Cruiserweight Championship over Yves Nagbu. Masson is 13-0. Nagbu is 21-2. Also on that card, Ben Kelleher, 16-5-2, will fight Luke Modini, undefeated in 9 fights over 10 rounds in the Cruiserweight division. At super middleweight, Adrian Rodriguez, 13-6-2, will fight Lewis Chadwick, 3-1 over 6 rounds. And really good young prospect, Jalen Tate, 13-0, will fight Akataleki, I think I pronounced that right. Giannessi, 11-3-3. And Taylor Robinson, another hot young prospect in the female division, super flyweight, 8-1, will fight Hama Yesti over 6 rounds as well. And to round it out on October 7th, Tasman Fighters. Dana Coolwell will fight Angelo Beltran over 10 rounds. Dana Coolwell, super featherweight, 11-2. Beltran, 8-1. Also on that card, Tyler Blizzard, 5-0, will fight Connor Reed, 3-1 over 10 rounds. Liam Pope, 5-1, will fight Jack Tresida over 8 rounds. Tresida, however you want to pronounce that, is 2-0-1. And again, Taylor Robinson will back up. She'll fight Sawanya Sarisawat, I think that's how you pronounce it, who's 3-0 over 8 rounds. All right, into the world scene. Lots happening this weekend. Well, it was happening. It's now not happening, but now it's happening again, if that makes sense. Anthony Joshua, his fight, I should say, with Dillian Whyte was cancelled due to Dillian Whyte testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. That will all come to pass as more news comes out. He'll now fight Robert Helenius over 12 rounds. The fight is on DAZN. It was going to be a pay-per-view. Now it is free, if you call a pay-for app free. Joshua 25-3, Helenius 32-4. The good news is that fight card has been salvaged because, especially for us Aussie fans, Dempsey McKeon, the Aussie heavyweight under Ace Boxing and Matchroom, will fight his biggest test to date against Filip Hrgovic, if I can pronounce that. Always have a bit of trouble with that one. Over 12 rounds in a heavyweight eliminator. Also on the undercard, Derek Chisora will fight Gerald Washington over 10 rounds in the heavyweight division. And that card also features hot prospects Campbell Hatton and Johnny Fisher. That card at the O2 Arena in London. Another big fight on the weekend I'm really looking forward to. Oscar Valdez will fight Emmanuel Navarrete for the WBO super featherweight title. Both only had one loss. Valdez 31-1, Navarrete 37-1. Promoted by Top Rank. That will take place at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. So really looking forward to that one. Canelo Alvarez, Jermell Charlo. The press tour starts next week. Of course, they're fighting September 30th at the T-Mobile Arena. Tickets on sale soon if you want to get to that one. Press conferences next week in LA and New York. So the official tour will begin and should be entertaining with the build-up. Speaking of Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford has just left the door open a little bit in the possibility of a Canelo Alvarez future fight, as unlikely as it might seem at this stage, considering one fight's at 147 and one at 168. But Crawford has said he's open to the idea if the fight took place at 158. I strongly doubt that fight happens, but you never know. And the last fight to talk about, the Artur Beterbiev Callum Smith fight, has been rescheduled to January 13th in Quebec City, Canada, for the WBC, WBO, IBF super middleweight belt. So that's about it for all the boxing news this week, guys. Make sure to check us out next Friday afternoon for all the latest happenings in the boxing world, both here and here in Australia and overseas. Have a good weekend. If you're watching the fights, have a good one.